Yeah, Stella, baby. Finna get right. Here we go. Yeah, listen. I ain't really tryna hold too much pride. Feeling like Michael, how I beat those odds, yeah. She's a real winner, and I can't deny she fine as wine with time. I don't really care for the clout nor fame, but you better make sure you know my name, yeah. This is real life, and it ain't no game. When you see me in the skyline, knock me down, come back up. Watch your work, watch your strut now. I don't care what they say, I'ma still have my way. I'm alright, that's for sure. I know I can endure. Back and forth, on and on. Yes, I'm on quite a run, yeah.
Welcome to Rooted Within Her, your go-to podcast. We are founded off of Colossians 2:7, where we are rooted in Christ, strengthening our faith, and overflowing with thankfulness. I am Brittany Bossup, your host, a devoted mom, veteran, mental health therapist, author, international keynote speaker, and your wealth and wellness coach. We are going to be talking about mental health, storytelling, relationships, and making sure you feel empowered with a positive mindset each and every day. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms. That's at Rooted Within Her. And go to our website, rootedwithinher.com, where you can get access to all of our resources to help you if you are a corporation looking to restructure your employee wellness, or if you are a divorced mom and you are looking for those resources to help you heal and rebuild. This is your go-to podcast. Again, that is rootedwithinher.com. Sit back and enjoy. Toxic love. This right here, I'm laughing because it's the reality of so many people's life. It's chaotic. They live in chaos. They don't know what they're going to get when they get home. And so the reality of it is they have to really work to separate themselves. But it's hard to do that if this is all you've ever known. So we're going to start with our scripture, 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind. And when you think about operating with a sound mind, you think about your mental health and you think about your mind right now. If you're able to, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to really think about what is toxic in your life, meaning there's no peace. What is it or who is it that creates toxicity? For some people, it might be their parents, it might be their children, it might be co-workers, it might be their boss, it might be their spouse. It could be so many people. It might even be you. You're toxic. And I know that's hard. Like, how can you say I'm toxic? You are. If you bring a lot of drama and you don't know, you're always starting something, it's always something. But the thing about it is this, and I love this topic so much because when clients come to me, nobody ever says, I'm toxic. Da, 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 da. No. My name is such and such and I'm toxic. No, that's not how the conversation goes. But you have to ask yourself, after so much time that goes by, if I'm finding myself in these toxic relationships or I'm finding myself as, oh, I'm the common denominator, then that means I got to do some work. I got to do some work on myself. And some, they were born into toxicity. And so it's hard for them. It is so hard for them. But I'm here to let you know that you don't have to stay where you're not valued. You don't. And it's hard because we just live life and we keep going and no one's given us that structure and foundation. And that's why your roots, where you're rooted, is so important. Because when we think about planting a tree, it takes time for that tree to really root itself and stand tall. And it's important for us to give ourselves that time and space that we need, but we have to make sure we're rooted in the right soil and the right environments, making sure we're rooted where we can truly thrive and be the best version of ourselves. And so it's hard when you allow weeds to come in to choke the life out of you, to try to overshadow you with darkness when you know you're filled with light. And you know that whatever situation that you're in, that you have the power to leave it. You're just scared. And you don't know what a life will look like without that person or without that thing. And we know so many people rely on so many different things, whether it's drinking, whether it's weed, whether it's smoking, whether it's alcohol, whether it's people. And they feel like they can't live without it. They just can't. They can't live without it, and they can't live without them. But the reality is, in order to truly heal yourself, you're going to have to break away from that. You're going to have to take a step back and say, what is it that I'm trying to do here? What voids in my life am I trying to fill? And for many, it'll go all the way back to the 5 A's of your childhood. Were you accepted? Acknowledging yourself, like saying, hey, I realized, like, growing up, I wasn't told I love you or anything like that. And so for many, they might feel like, wow, like I'm looking for someone to fulfill that space in my life, to tell me how much they love me. And so for many, that's where they begin looking for love in all the wrong places. So they realize, okay, I wasn't shown that affection. I wasn't allowed to be myself. I wasn't appreciated. I wasn't aware. I wasn't accepted. And so when we think about appreciation, that's a big piece. Because if you grew up, and a lot of times this is for my older children, those who grew up as the oldest child in their families, they have a hard time with this because they grew up, they were just expected to do everything. And so no one ever said, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for taking care of your siblings, or thank you for anything, right? And so they grew up where thinking that people just would appreciate them. But in the real world, people take advantage of you. And so one thing, as I do a lot of work in communities and working with parents, is letting them know, like, we have to get our children ready, because Lil Pookie and Lil JoJo and Lil okay, Mookie, that's not who they are in the real world, okay? Because people don't give a care. They don't care about your feelings. They don't care about your love that people have for you in your family dynamic, if you have that. And so a lot of times it's a culture shock. It's a shock for them when they get into this real world, because they're like, oh my gosh. Like, I was literally talking to an HR recruiter, and she told me that the new thing now is parents are going to job interviews with their children. And I'm just like, what? It's crazy, because I can't even imagine. I cannot imagine. I'll never forget when I got my first job. I was working at Albertsons. My mom had got this job for me, and I needed to transfer locations. And then, right, because I took a break off or something like that with school or something like that. So I needed to take a break and transfer locations. That's what they were telling me. And they were like, you would have to reapply. And so I'm working at this job, but now I'm on the break, right? When I had to go and reapply. And so I put the application in. I'm thinking, because I worked with you guys, y'all just gonna hire me. Boom, that's it. And I never forget, my mom was like, okay, now the store manager has switched over, so they don't know you. And so you're gonna have to call them every day and leave a message. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, why do I have to call them every day? And I would call every day and say, hey, this is my name. I put in an application or a transfer, and I'm ready to work. And as the days went on, I remember like not hearing a call, and you just go on, because, you know, when you're a teen, you're just like, okay, whatever. And I'll never forget, my mom was like, you have to be persistent. You have to be persistent. And so I ended up picking up the call and calling. And the one time I got a, come on in. We would be glad to have you. We would be glad to start you. Came in, they knew I knew how to do everything. Boom, you're hired. You're like here for our new location. And so I said that to say this. In life, a lot of times we get into this mind frame of we did it, we're done, that's it. Like now people need to reach out to us. But the reality of it is that's not how life works. We have to work hard for the things that we desire and that we want. And so for me, working at that job, it taught me a lot with work ethic, how to be friendly, treat people in the customer service realm. But I also learned a lot, so much. Like I'll never forget this one guy when they used to have like the old money machines and the money would come out. The change would come out, but you would have to give them the actual like dollar bills and stuff like that. Well, I'll never forget the machine did not give this guy his penny. And he acted like he was about to beat me up because I had made a comment at that time. I didn't know any better, but at that time I was like, it's just a penny. And the person that he was with had to literally put their arm out and like hold him back because he was ready to like fight. Like he was like, it's my penny. Like and here I was like, it's just a penny, sir. Like move around so I can get to the next customer. And it taught me something because it allowed me to realize, first of all, that was wrong of me because I don't know that man's story. I don't know. Now, yes, I was thinking about it from the aspect of it's just a penny. What can you even buy with a penny? But that's his money, and if he wants it, that's his money. Like that's his change back. And I don't know how many other pennies he had and what he was gonna do with that penny, but that belonged to him. That's not my business to know. And so I said that to say, when we look at our life, we have to think about what is our mindset. And we have to be willing to change our mindset. When you get in a marriage, you are linked up with someone who has had their own thinking, their own way of doing things for X amount of years. And they've done it this way based on how they've been raised. And so what happens is a lot of times people have this ethnocentric view of life and they don't realize that they have to change that process. They have to change their thoughts. They have to change the way that they are thinking about things. And I'm not saying you have to agree with everyone because you're not going to agree with everyone. God created us all different. We all have completely different DNAs, completely different mindsets, everything. But what I am saying is that we have to be willing to challenge ourselves to at least see the other side, at least see the other person's point of view. And so I want you to think about the red flags that are standing out to you if you're in a toxic relationship. I want you to think about those limiting beliefs that are keeping you in unhealthy cycles. And I want you to think about that journey. Like, how can it be better? What can I do differently? Okay. And as you are doing that, I want you to really look at past and present relationship patterns that are simply not serving you. So in my book titled Unapologetically Divorced, I have a section titled Detach Yourself from Toxic Relationships and Habits. And I'm going to read an excerpt. When it comes to detaching from toxic relationships and habits, the journey begins with a full, honest look at yourself. As a mental health therapist, I've worked with many clients who could easily identify the problems in their relationships but struggle to acknowledge the role they played in maintaining the cycle. Often the hardest truth to face is that we've allowed others to occupy spaces in our lives where they no longer belong. Staying in toxicity is easier than facing the truth for many. My dad used to say, when you point a finger, there are three pointing back at you. This is what we have to do differently. We have to look at our heart. We have to be willing to challenge and self-reflect and look at our true heart posture. Okay. And so, as I leave you today, we want to close out with this affirmation. And I want you to think about, how do I say no to toxicity? How do I say no to toxic relationships, toxic people? How do I end the toxic cycle? And if you're listening and you're in Texas or Florida and you're like, I need a therapist. I need somebody to help me, somebody who's licensed, somebody who's skilled. Well, make sure you send an email to Rudy at Rudy Within Her so you can sign up for therapy. You could do some life coaching. You could go on a retreat to clear your mind. But as I close today, I want you to think about this affirmation. I am capable of achieving my dreams and goals. I am capable of achieving my dreams and goals. Thank you, and you be blessed. Thank you for listening to Rooted Within Her, your number one go-to podcast. If you heard something today that resonated with you, make sure you screenshot, tag us on all social media platforms, tell us what your thoughts were, what were your takeaways, and make sure you go to rootedwithinher.com so you can access all of our resources, join our challenges, find out about life coachings, and don't forget about our amazing, phenomenal retreats. So make sure you go to rootedwithinher.com. And again, thank you for listening. And I want you to have a super phenomenal day because you are God's masterpiece.